Hello and welcome to the Apex Online Racing IMSA Lights Endurance Series, where today we're going to have coverage of round 4 for you from Long Beach. It is our first season here of the AOR IMSA Lights series, and so far this season we've had some brilliant action. We had a little bit of a break last week with Valentine's Day, and obviously everyone wanting to see their partners, girlfriends, wives and spend time with them rather than racing. But we are back this week with round 4, and this time I am not alone. I have someone else here in the commentary box. Can you please give a very warm welcome for the king of AOR commentary, Mr. King Kodiak.
Thank you, Yorkie. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. Yes, once again, I've invaded the space of the Yorkie and spending my free time this evening in the best way I know how, commentating wonderful AOR racing. So we're just getting the lobby set up. We will get our qualifying session underway for what is going to be 1.5 hours in the sort of height of the day. Yesterday we had the GT3 race happen at this very circuit through the early hours of the morning, and that created some very interesting moments throughout the tiers. So we will see how our mixed class, how our LMP3s, how our GT4s cope with these conditions. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very strategic race. Passing is very much at a premium at this circuit. So the LMP3s could well have quite a task on their hands, making their way through the traffic and, of course, keeping their relevant gaps between themselves and those they're racing against.
Yeah, definitely. And, of course, with the walls being very, very close, right at the edges of the circuit, any mistakes that any of the drivers actually make could be very, very costly indeed. So it's going to be a very interesting race, hopefully very entertaining from our perspective. Hopefully there'll be plenty of action, but hopefully we'll see plenty of guys make it to see the checkered flag at the end as well. So we'll take a look at the calendar, go through the last round's race results, and also take a look at the updated championship standings just whilst we're waiting for the lobby to be set up and go live in approximately 6 to 7 minutes time, we hope. So on screen there you can see the calendar that we have run so far this season. Rounds 1, 2 and 3 taking place at Circuit of the Americas, Watkins Glen GP and Laguna Seca respectively. This week, round 4, we have ourselves a 90-minute race at Long Beach, whereas next week we are back to our final 60-minute race at Road America, and then we are going to be finishing off the season on the 7th of March at the Daytona International Road Circuit, which will be once again a 90-minute race. So the calendar's been alternating between those 60-minute to 90-minute races, which kind of keeps the guys a little bit on their toes in terms of strategy. We'll take a look at the standings from last week's, not last week's race, but the previous round of round 4. There you can see on screen the race results, where Bo came away with the race win, with the Ace coming up in 2nd place after the Ace unfortunately had a little bit of a moment with a back marker, if I remember correctly. Smolder picking up 3rd with it's Marco the Pirate in 4th place, brilliant name. 5th position was Bazanchek with Ruddy Bird there in 6th. Minisco 2 in 7th place. Intergalactic Gentleman picking up the final points position in 8th place. Logan coming home in 9th with Flaming Parrot in 10th. J Peaches in 11th. And then Aaron was in 12th place. We did also have Scott Burnett, GTS Jeremy, and NPC V1 as well. Were also listed in the standings, but from 12th position onwards, none of those drivers actually completed the race and ended up DNFing. So the championship standings for the LMP3 drivers is as follows. You can see there on the screen with the Ace currently holding 25 points and just a 1-point lead to Bo in 2nd place. So very, very tight there at the top of the LMP3 title. The Smolder is there in 3rd place with 19 points in his Janetta, with Ruddy Bird in 4th, Bazanchek in 5th place with 9 points. Jeremy just a couple of points behind in 6th place with Marco the Pirate in 7th, Flaming Parrot in 8th, Martinez Maxime in 9th, 10th position is currently held by Inferno, Intergalactic Gentleman is in 11th, and Minisco is there in 12th. And we do have a couple more drivers a little bit further as well. Andrew Harper is currently in 13th place with 2 points, and Aaron is the last driver in 14th place to hold a point, and then a number of other drivers are listed below but have yet to score a championship point, because it's only the top 8 drivers in the LMP3 standings who actually score points each round. Coming over to the GT4 drivers, Scott there came away with the win last week. Dakuza came up in 2nd place with M-Power in 3rd. Very, very close between the two, and actually Dakuza did come across the line behind M-Power, but M-Power had a bigger penalty than what Dakuza had, so M-Power was therefore demoted to 3rd place. Marauder got himself 4th place with brake check in 5th. Andrex had a very eventful race where he started off very, very well and took the lead and was leading by quite a significant margin for a decent portion of the race, but unfortunately had some contact with a spinning LMP3 car, which put him well out of contention with a lot of damage. He did end up dropping to the bottom of the standings, but did manage to work his way back up to 6th position before taking the checkered flag. TPW, Mr. Ticklish Picklewickle, came home in 7th place with Nyla in 8th. GTS Carlito was there in 9th, and then David Simon was also a DNF finisher there in 10th place as well. So the GT4 championship standings are as follows. You can see that Scott has got a fairly decent lead to his teammate Andrex, and the two drivers are actually on the same team, and providing that they score 2 points, I believe, in this race, they will seal the team championship standings. So either Scott or Andrex has to come home in 11th position, I think it is, for the GT4 cars. And then M-Power...
Couldn't tell you. I haven't looked at the GT4 points table, I'm afraid.
I'm pretty sure it's the top 12 in GT4 who actually get points. So I believe it'll be 11th position that will need one of those two drivers to finish in, at least to wrap up the team championship for them in the GT4 class. M-Power is there in 3rd position, as you can see, with Marauder pretty close and hot on his heels. Not too far behind. Dakuza is even closer to Marauder, just separated by 1 point at the moment. Braychek currently holds 6th position with 19 points. Colonel McCoy just there, lurking 1 point behind in 7th. Nyla in 8th place, again just 2 points. Carlito there in 9th, 6th position, 6 points behind, sorry, not 6th position. TPW there in 10th, and then Milo is there in 11th with 12th being currently held by Pushdom, but a lot of the drivers there are only separated by 1 point. David Simon also in 13th place. He's the only other GT4 driver to pick up points as well, but he currently holds 6 points to his name, so he is only just 1 point behind Pushdom. So very, very close in the GT4 championship as well, down at those lower points positions. So it's going to be pretty critical for a number of the drivers in this race to try and get a decent result. But hopefully we shall be getting underway with qualifying very, very soon, King Kodiak.
Indeed, should be starting in the next next minute or so. So both championships are very close, very wide open, and this is really going to be a race of patience more than outright pace. So this is what I'm most intrigued about. Endurance racing, you can argue, is always a race of patience, but that's fine when you're in a position of relative comfort, particularly speaking. Yorkie already mentioned the fact that the walls are very close. They are waiting to bite at any given moment. Especially, if you've been in a long battle, certainly exasperated by the fact that it's a 90-minute race, not a 60-minute race in this particular instance. This could really kind of make mistakes that much more possible, but that much more costly. And there's certain points of the track that are really narrow. Turn 1, prime example. You make a mistake there and you're blocking the track. Turn 5, another example of if you make a mistake. Turn 5 slightly less so because he starts to widen, but if you make a mistake at the wrong point, you could actually block the track entirely. Turn 8, another example. But we saw some very, very, shall we say, imaginative overtaking methods. Last night in GT3 T1 on the PC side, we actually had 3 wide coming into turn 10. 3 wide and Long Beach, I made this comment yesterday, are just 2 very mutually exclusive phrases. You never normally would go 3 wide here. And we are into qualifying. 15 minutes of quali then. Everybody's going to be out on track. 24 cars. I think we did have 26 in the lobby, so we have lost a couple immediately. Hopefully they can rejoin us. 24 cars. And it is a free-for-all. Everybody is going to be getting out on track to see what they can do. Looks like a number of the LMPs have got underway. We've got 13 GT4s and 11 LMP3s at the moment. If the last couple of people are able to rejoin us, we might have another couple. That is how they currently stand. So let's see how they get on.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to see the differences between these LMP3 cars and the GT4 cars around the circuit. If I remember correctly from actually watching the GT3 broadcast earlier on today, because unfortunately I missed it yesterday, I was out down the pub with some family friends for a nice lovely catch-up meal, but from what I recall, the drivers were doing around 117, 118 lap time-wise?
In that kind
GT3
of region,
cars?
yes.
Yeah, so the LMP3s I imagine will probably be closer to, I reckon probably a 1 minute 10, 1 minute 11, somewhere around there, a little bit quicker than the GT3s. And the GT4s will probably be up mid-20s, I imagine, somewhere around that region.
A fair assumption. Everybody except for brake check has come out on track so far, and Milo's he's got himself a 1-place grid penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Yep.
Good start.
Yeah, the very first time that he's actually driving out the pit lane, he's gone and picked up a penalty, which is certainly not ideal for the start of this race. It is very, very crowded. Yeah, a lot of drivers all around kind of the same part of the circuit. A lot of them wanting to try and pile out onto the track in relatively quick succession. You see a couple of drivers doing some weaving to try and generate a bit of heat into the tyres before they begin their flying lap. So here are a number of drivers in the foreground flying across that start-finish line to begin their first lap of qualifying here at Long Beach for round 4 of the Apex Online Racing IMSA Lights Endurance Series.
Indeed. Whoa, that was eventful, inventive by whoever it was that was in the red Aston there. Now, grip is not something these drivers will have a lot of. The LMP drivers, of course, they will have a bit more downforce, but again, these cars are not that quick. Some of them are. Some of them they will be able to use that extra downforce. Whether we're looking at Scott at the moment being chased by one of the LMP3s. Here, turns 6 and 7. You'll have a decent amount of pace as we start to see some times coming on the board. Here, turn 8 is another one that they can get a bit of downforce in use, but not. Grip is something they are going to have to really keep in mind, particularly in the early stages. Again, referring back to the GT3s yesterday, you can see Scott putting on a hell of a lot of opposite lock there. Again, I know that's exaggerated, but you've got to think that. Particularly here, this was a very common mistake spot here in the hairpin 10-11, where either people were just getting on the gas too early and the tyres just were not ready to take the grip, or they would actually catch the apex and clunk into the wall, so that just spun the back around. And, you're then facing the wrong way at a point where no one can see you. So, again, there's several things that our drivers have to bear in mind. This is going to be quite a tough race, I think.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And it's quite interesting watching the drivers and see the lap times pouring in at the moment. Seems like my LMP3 prediction was a little bit ambitious at the moment. Bo is currently the provisional pole man as he's coming across the line now, setting another lap time there, 1.1 seconds quicker than his previous best to go with a 1 minute 13.140. He's got a couple of cars for company coming out of the pit lane, but they won't interfere with him coming through turn one. But however, that wall on the outside will a little bit as he brushed against that. And GT4 times seem to be kind of 23-24, so relatively close to Kuza at the moment. Provisional pole, but he is sat in the pit lane, and Marauder is there, second place in class at the moment with his 23.8. He's got Ligier coming up behind him, but the Ligier has turned off his lights, which should indicate that he is not on a flying lap. I believe Marauder is on a flying lap, but doesn't have his lights on. But even still, you see him coming through the tighter section now, and this is one of those places where if someone does have a mistake and you kind of... That was a nice slide there, very well held.
Well held, yeah.
Yeah, you get caught facing the wrong direction, it can be very, very difficult to turn around, and Marauders jump back to the pits.
Both still going, interesting. Again, he's lapping consistently then, just 28 thousandths behind his previous time, 1:13.140. Smolder is out there with... Oh, he's right ahead, actually, of Bo. There he is in the... I still can't tell. You did tell me this last time. I'm not really good at telling the difference between the Ginetta and Ligier. Ooh, well held, Bo. So again, let's come back to exactly what I was saying. Is there is a distinct lack of grip, which this track just doesn't afford it to you in the early stages. It does rubber in to a point, but it's just something that I can... Oh, there we go. There's a backwards-facing Aston in the background. Not sure who that was. Oh, Empower, yes, I forgot he runs the Mustang, doesn't he? He did rather well, and he's done rather well in that in previous races, I seem to recall.
Yep.
Only second of our GT4 field.
I was going to say, it'd be interesting to see, actually, the differences between that LMP3 and the GT4s around here. I think Smolder is kind of backed out of this lap now and is kind of more lining himself up for the next one as Empower gets very sideways coming out the exit of that final hairpin turn, turn 11. There goes Smolder, slotting himself around the outside, so Smolder won't be affected with the beginning of this lap. However, Empower jumping back to the pits. He's still holding second in class at the moment. Scott has managed to get himself up into the lead. This is on board with Smolder now with an Aston Martin in front of him, but Smolder has got 10 litres of fuel there in the tank, so I think what he's done is probably just loaded up the car and then decided to go out on track and just run a whole bunch of laps in one after the other and hope that one of them is going to be somewhat relatively decent and get him in a decent position for the start of the race.
And why not? They're not limited to how many laps they can do. Other racing series, you have 3 laps and that's it. But in our Project Cars leagues, you can just keep going until you either run out of fuel or run out of time. But if Smolder can get past this Aston in pretty short order, he's actually got a pretty decent... If you look at the map, they're coming through to 9, 10 and 11 at the moment. He's got a big old handful of clear air ahead of him. He'll know that. If he's got his map on, he'll know he's got a lot of... Oh, again, you can see the tail getting a little bit loose. And there he goes. He's now flown past the Aston. He's got a big old amount of free... Oh, someone's actually coming out of the pits.
Pit lane,
yeah, it's right on board then with Smolder. Let's,
he's alright though. He's clear. He's clear. There is a car that's just gone up into turn 1, but he should catch that kind of on the back section. So decent run through turn 1, coming into the fountain section. Very tight, very slow. Got to get the car slowed down before coming into the very tight turn 4. Avoid that big curb on the inside. Turn 5. Adverse camber here, and there's also a crest as well that just drags the car away from you a bit. Here is that Aston. He should pass. Oh no, he's backed out of it. I thought he was going to pass him down the inside. Coming into the left-hander here. He's obviously taking it relatively easy.
Yeah, it's pretty wide as well through 6 and 7. Well, 7's a fairly non-existent corner.
Yeah.
Here's turn 8, so I actually thought that was a rocket bed to start with, but it's actually... Oh, that's an Aston that's had a big old argument with something.
Yeah, it has had a little bit of damage on the back. It's obviously got quite a bit more substantial damage on the front, but I think that might have been from earlier on in the session, possibly in the returning
new
to
pole
pit
then
lane.
on the LMP. Spike away as well, 112.2.
So I wasn't too far off.
No, you weren't at all.
No prediction. But yeah, the differences between that Ginetta and the Ligier is the Ginetta's got the front headlights are a lot more triangular, like upside down triangles, whereas the Ligier is a lot more rounded and it's got the 3 lamp lights, shall I say, inside the light bulbs. And then when it comes to
running the Ligier.
Yeah, and when it comes to the rear, it's the bodywork is slightly different. It's a bit more rounded on the Ligier, and the brake lights are actually at the bottom, whereas the Ginetta's brake lights are a single little circular section just underneath the bodywork behind the rear wheels.
There's a Bose in the Ginetta then.
Yep. Oh, scuffing the wall as well as it comes out the exit.
He was indeed. And what we saw there with ADAs is he just caught that BMW just at the wrong time. That is going to happen. It's going to happen a lot. We know how quickly the LMP3s catch the back of the GT4s. There's about 10-second per lap difference here, which is, you know, I would say it's a big lap time difference. Of course it is. They're two completely different classes. That's the point of mixed class endurance racing. But again, coming back to how difficult overtaking is here and how narrow it is in parts. Here, it's the size of a runway, but in certain elements, it's really, really narrow. So, this is going to be a real tester for our drivers. Pace is not going to be the overruling factor today. That I'm pretty sure of. Who's leader of our GT4s? It's actually Scott
at the moment. Yeah, he's sat there in the pit lane just chilling out.
Yeah, Empower is out. Mustang, headlights on, just started a lap, or he's just completed one. 1:22.8, so he's only 6/10, not even that. He's just over half a second behind Scott, so that's pretty close. Oh, what a lovely roar. The GT4s do give a rather nice noise. The KTM is the odd one out there, in my opinion. But
yep, TPW as well on the GT86, that produces a little bit of a different noise. Otherwise, there's quite a bit of V8 rumble that we get around the streets here, which is very fitting, to be honest, as the entire calendar is American circuits, and obviously America is famed for the V8 engine. It's with pretty much this car, the Ford Mustang.
That's amazing. He's taming the stallion brilliantly well. 3 minutes remain here for the qualifying session of Long Beach. AD8 is our pole man of the LMP3s, 1:12.260, the only man of the 112s at the moment, 8/10 ahead of Bo, 1.7 ahead of who's in third? That is Brzanczyk, who is 0.02 of a second ahead of Reddy Bird in fourth. Scott is our current GT4 pole man, and he's out there. Oh, he's had an argument with something as well. In his Aston, there's Empower, as we've just been looking at. He crossed the line, improves, but doesn't take the pole time. He's very close, so he's only 1.5 tenths off that pole spot now. Oh, there is a KTM just jumped out his way. That was just unlucky timing. And Takuza is currently third. He's in the BMW, so that's interesting. We have 3 different marks in the top of the GT4s. I think, is Empower the only Mustang runner?
Yes, he is. The majority of cars in the GT4 class are Astons. We do have this one BMW here, driven by Takuza. We've got a couple of I think 3 or 4 KTMs, and then the TPW and the Toyota GT86. So there's a little bit of variation, but Aston is by far the most popular choice, but it's not really a car that's going to be amazingly strong at this circuit. It's quite tight and twisty. It doesn't really get too much room to really stretch its legs apart from the back straight between turn 8 and 9, and obviously the start-finish straight.
Absolutely. A couple of people with penalties on the boards. They're both GT4s, and they're both at the back of the GT4 field. That is Milo and Atlas Guerin. They both earn themselves 1-place penalties. Oh, Atlas Guerin's got 2.
Yeah.
Okay, he'll be having penalties then on to next week's race, as he's already at the back. He won't at all.
Nope.
Will Scott improve? This might be an outlap for him. See, headlights on. See when he crosses the line, and that's it was 1.9 slower. So We will pick up with him when he gets to the tail end of his lap. Bo is still out there, just about to cross the line. Does he improve? No, he was a couple of tenths down. Picks up a little bit of slipstream off of the Black Aston there. That's also had an argument with something. I'm not surprised at all to see the amount of reshaped cars. Oh, again, Bo. He is pushing hard in the Ginetta.
He's got quite a bit of room in front of him as well, so this could be a pretty good opportunity for Bo to improve. There you go, 0.05 of a second up so far in the first sector. Good run through turn 5. Just making sure you know your braking point for turn 6, chucking the car in, second gear. Let the car run out wide to the wall, then bring it back far left. Try and open up turn 8, chuck it in. Very good run through. There you go. Almost 0.3 of a second up so far. He's 0.8 of a second off of Aid the Ace's time at the moment, but providing he can keep it well hooked up through this final section, he could potentially improve and close that gap even more. It's just the final turn to go. He needs a good drive off of here, laying down the traction and putting down a fat number 11 as he comes across the line to improve his lap time by about 0.4 of a second. So he's closed the gap a little bit to Aid the Ace, but he's still there in second place.
Empower on his final lap then. Bit of a wiggle coming through 6. Over the crest at 7. Now down towards turn 8. Is he on a better lap? We don't know. Is the time... Oh, no. No, most certainly not. So just a bit of practice then for Empower. He streams on towards the line. It's only a few cars still on track at the moment. Bit of a wiggle coming through at turn 9. Around the final turn. Oh, a little deep. Yeah, I just got a little bit clumsy for Empower at the end there. Yep, he's literally coasting. He's actually killed his engine. He was the last man to cross the line, and your qualifying positions are so.
So in pole position, Aid the Ace on the LMP3 with Bo in second, Ruddy Bird third, Smolder fourth, Brazanchik fifth, Marco the Pirate sixth, Aaron in seventh, Flaming Parrot eighth, Logan ninth, 10th is Bernetto, and Jay Peaches in 11th place to round out the LMP3 field. GT4's Scott was on pole with Empower in second. Didn't get to see the rest. So, King Kodiak, I'm going to need you here to run through the rest of the grid.
Dakuza is in third position with Marauder in fourth. Andrex 5. Actually, we go to the chase. We'll see what they're in. So Scott, Aston, Empower, Mustang, Dakuza, BMW. So keeping that 3, actually 4 marks in the top 4 with Marauder and the KTM in fourth. Then Aston of Andrex in fifth. Colonel McCoy, Aston 6th. Then Dave Alex in 7th in Aston. Then Pushtum, which was the rearranged Aston that made me think of the GT86, actually, during qualifying, is in 8th. KTM of Neela in 9th. Then Aston of Brakecheck 10th. Carlito in the Aston in 11th. Milo in 12th in the green Aston. And with his teammate Atlas Garin at the tail of the field.
So TPW didn't make the race in the end. He did say that there is a possibility of him being late, so unfortunately we don't have that Toyota GT86 on the field in the grid. Interesting to see Brakecheck a little bit further down than he usually is. He's kind of usually up around 5th, 6th position. He's down there in 10th placing class, but he may fare a little bit better in the race depending on what happens. Obviously, the LMP3 field will spread themselves out a little bit away from the GT4 cars for the beginning of the race, as we do a manual rolling start here rather than launching off at the green lights. And yeah, obviously that will allow a bit more room just in case there are any accidents in the first few turns. Hopefully there won't. Hopefully the guys will be able to keep it out of the walls, keep it out of the wheel wells of each other's cars, and hopefully we can get this 90-minute race off to a good start.
Right, so our drivers will be ignoring the lights as they come on. That'll go off. The 1.5 hour will start to count down, and ADAs will now lead our drivers away. Let's get the speedo on so we can keep an eye on fuel amounts. I would imagine everybody is pretty much full on fuel.
Yep.
LMPs with 85 litres, with the GT4s carrying about 110, there or thereabouts. Now there's some variance in some of the cars. So ADAs then will lead them away at around about 80 miles an hour, 120 kilometers an hour, give or take. That becomes very challenging in some areas. And when we get to the formation point, which is around about turn 8, they will then slow down to 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour, and reform the 2x2 line. Now the LMP3s will break away. If we look at the map, you'll see there is a gap in the field. That is not absent-mindedness. That's the break in between the two categories. Our LMP3s will start that much ahead of our GT4s. And then once we've seen the start of the LMP3s, we'll have a look at how our GT4s fare. So here is ADAs coming through 6 and 7. Everybody getting some heat into the tyres, heat into the brakes, etc., etc. And soon after turn 8, we will be reforming the 2x2 line. It gets very interesting when they come through that turn 11, that final hairpin. It gets, just a few clench moments.
Yeah, definitely. I think a couple of the guys were discussing a possibility of doing a single file start as well, just to make it a little bit safer going through that hairpin. But it looks like that we are going to be forming up 2x2, although Ace is on the correct side for a moment there. I thought he was lining up on the wrong side, but turn 1 is a left-hander, so he is there and lined himself up nicely on the inside for that, as P1 has the priority. There you can see the drivers giving each other a wide berth, having to use full lock though to try and get through that final hairpin, and it's any time between now and the start finish line where ADAs can put his foot down, flat to the floor. There he goes, and that signifies the start of the race for the LMP3 drivers as they thunder their way down towards turn 1. It looks like Bo's trying to pick up a bit of slipstream, is forced to go to the outside though. We do also have Roddy Bird there lurking in third place for the moment as they filter themselves through. Bo coming very, very close to the wall, but it looks like so far so good for the LMP3 drivers. There's a little bit of backing up in the fountain there, but it looks like most of the drivers have managed to keep their noses clean. GT4 guys very much underway as well, as they now rumble their way down towards turn 1.
Yeah, BMW, that is, the Marauder was in the KTM, the BMW's come through. There's Colonel McCoy having a look as well on the inside. That would be very brave, but that has actually enabled him to get alongside Marauder. And he has to back out of that one. He gets single fire when you come into the roundabout. Well, there's the red Aston of Bushdom that's hassling Andres. Andres has lost the position, I think, in that particular exchange. Scott still holding on to the lead in the green and yellow Aston. M-Power under a lot of pressure right now with Marauder. Oh, that's a green Aston round. That's Dave Alex that's gone round. And
yep,
there he goes. And it looks like he kept it out of the wall. But he's lost a lot of time. Look at how our LMP3 feels dispersed. Bo and Aid have just gone. There on your next two, Freddie Bird and Smolder. Then there's a big gap between that's Bruzanchik and Flaming Parrot. That's on the next pair. Ooh, someone getting very close to the wall. Freddie Bird has actually lost the position to Smolder, so that was a great move through turn 1. Didn't quite see that one. But Bo and AD8, look at that. The Ligier leads the Ginetta and leads the rest of the field by a long way. This is going to be interesting, certainly when they cast the back of the GT4s. That's going to be very interesting for those two. But the GT4 field is fairly customary, is still fairly well compact. Aston leads Mustang, leads BMW. The KTM from a little way off the back. Well, that three-way battle for the lead looks set to carry on for a while.
Yep, it certainly does. It seemed like the GT4 cars had a slightly cleaner start than the LMP3s, apart from the green spinning Aston that we saw in the background coming out the exit of turn 5. Top 3 of the GT3 cars within just a couple of car lengths of each other, and then Marauder is there in 4th position, breaking himself away from 5th place Colonel McCoy. Andrex dropping a position at the start, going from 5th down into 6th, but he's there with a clean looking car at the moment, so possibly just being a little bit cautious in the first couple of turns, and Colonel McCoy being a little bit more opportunistic and managing to snatch that position away. Take a look back at the leaders again of LMP3, still fighting away. Half a second between these two. Can I also have the track map as well, please, King Kodiak? There we go. And these LMP3 drivers are not too far from the GT4 cars, as we're watching Logan at the moment with Marco the Pirate in front of him. Just under a second. So there's a bit of a train here with these drivers from 4th position.
Yeah, it's been led by Ruddybird, isn't it, that particular train? So yeah. Ruddybird, Marco the Pirate and Logan in that particular... Look at that loss. But that's 4 seconds behind Smolder. Now, Smolder was right with Ruddybird, so Ruddybird's had an issue of some description that's dropped him right into that pack. And then you've got this battle that has got 7 seconds. Go on.
Aid the Ace has got a front right light damage. It seems
Come on,
like
camera, keep up with me. It's actually fine on my screen, but
it's fine for you. Okay, it's fine. It's not fine
not
for me, but yeah, I don't. The way he's still going at the moment doesn't seem like he's got too much damage. But he now has the GT4 traffic. This is going to be an interesting phase of the race of trying to work their way through these GT4 cars for the first time, because they are going to be much closer together than they will be later on in the race. And I imagine Bo will want to... Oh no, that's catastrophic for those two Aston Martins. Huge impact, bodywork flying around all over the place. The LMP3 guys managing to get through perfectly fine. But that is some not so pretty looking Aston Martins.
That was Milo, Atlas, Garen and Dave Alex, all 3 of the green Astons involved in that huge issue. I don't know whether it was Milo or Atlas Garen that caused that.
Yeah, I didn't quite see. As soon as we cut to the camera, we just saw the cars flying around through the air. Yeah, bodywork going all over the place. The Ace is trying to carve his way through the traffic now. Bo following him down the inside. Nope, he's going to wait until after the corner, switch back underneath the Aston Martin. Obviously, Bo won't want to lose touch with Aid the Ace, and Aid the Ace will want to try and carve through this traffic as quickly as possible to try and escape Bo's grasp as he goes around the outside. Bo wanting to have a little bit of a look to the inside, but it's not going to quite work there, so he's going to switch there now. This is the ebbs and flows of multi-class racing. Guys, you just got to be patient. Sometimes the traffic works with you, sometimes it works against you.
Very much so, and you know, if we look on board, that's the view from the Ligier. It's obviously obscured a bit on the right-hand side, which is slightly awkward. It's blocked by a circuit. In my opinion, they have much more view than that is the Ginetta, but they've got more view on the right, well, sort of, until you get to the actual wheel hub. But that's kind of the difference that they're working with, and they've got to work their way past, you know, the battling GT4s. So if they're running the onboard camera, that's going to be quite interesting for them. It looks like, but that's actually cost Bo a good couple of seconds. There's now 2.3 seconds between himself and AD8. But a very long way to go. It's nothing easy to say, Yorkie. It's very much ebb and flow. That is going to change considerably as the race goes on, as Milo and Atlas Garin are flying. Astons are in the pits. Dave Alex continued interesting me, so maybe he actually was just whoops, commentator curse. I just happened to cut to you at the point that the tail. But yeah, his car looks fine on my screen, so maybe he just got to the scene a bit. It was an instant between Milo and Atlas Garin.
Oh, I'm getting a little bit of lag on my end. A couple of cars bumping into the walls. It's probably what caused the damage for Aid the Ace that I'm seeing, and you're not.
No, maybe limited to just yourself there.
Yeah.
But so far so good. Ruddybird and Brzezinski very close together. Ruddybird's taken that fourth from Brzezinski early on, and they are now working their way through the GT4 field. Who leads our GT4s? Scott and D'Acusa still very close together. Then a bit of a gap between himself and Marauder. So the Aston now, where did
Empower's dropped to 6th.
Oh dear, the Mustang's had a mare. Where is he? He's coming in. But he's had, that's not a happy looking Empower. But he has had trouble in that Mustang. I would not be at all surprised if the pit crews get a lot of practice in this race, because again, with the lack of overtaking opportunities, the grip as well being at a premium, there's going to be a few people tripping up on things, but that's disastrous for Empire. We know how quick he is, and he's got a lot of work to do. But of course, that promotes everybody from, I think it was second. He was in. Actually, Dakusa is right on Scott's case. So Scott hasn't got any, hasn't had any respite, because the Mustang is now replacing the BMW. Dakusa's doing a brilliant job hanging on in there. Marauder is about 4 seconds behind this, but Marauder has got Colonel McCoy and Andrex for company. So again, the KTM can't let up. He's got a pair of Masters chasing after him. Another one of the LMP3s coming through. Smolder, I think. Yep. So he's not got anyone position-wise near him. But Bo, who's now, I think, got some free air. Yeah, there you go. That's our LMP3 pair. They now have got, obviously, nothing in between them, but there's no immediate sign of a GT4. So Bo now has a great opportunity to gain, and he did. He gained, what did he gain? 7 tenths last time.
Yeah, 6-7 tenths on the race leader. So Bo seeming like he's got the pace over Aid the Ace, which is what we've seen in previous races as well. Even when Aid the Ace has managed to pull away, I think that was just Atlas getting out of the way of the LMP3 leaders to let them through. But yeah, Aid the Ace he seems to string out a nice gap in the traffic, and then Bo closes up. But Bo's had a couple of mistakes in previous races, which has knocked him down the grid. Speaking of mistakes, Empire as well. Obviously, we believe that he's had an incident with the wall somewhere. He's now down in 11th position, and kind of as a bigger double whammy for him, it's happened at a point in the race where he's going to need to make another pit stop later on. If he had gone another 20 minutes or so into the race before having that issue and making contact with the wall, he would have been able to go into the pits, refuel, change tyres, obviously fix the damage, but then not have to worry about pitting again. But as it stands at the moment, I don't think that 103 litres that Empower has in his tank, unless he does some serious fuel saving, I don't think he's going to make it to the end of this race without making another pit stop.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get anywhere near it, quite frankly.
No.
Logan is... it's a big one. Flaming Parrot is not far off the back of Marco. So that battle for 6th still rages on. So have a fair amount of distance to go. We're only 15 minutes into this race, and quite a few pit stops have already been and gone. And yeah, that's so any kind of practiced... This is another thing that is going to be upset. You have an idea of your own strategy, when you're going to pit, how hard you're going to push. That's all been pretty much upset for quite a few drivers. Well, there's one of them. That'll be either Antascarin or Milo. It's Antascarin, who is doing his best to stay out of the way, but that Aston's quite a bit shorter than it should be.
Yeah, it's obviously haven't got the grip that it should have either. He's actually now been put a lap down by the GT4 leaders. As both Dakusa and also Scott have now gone past, and they've got plenty of LMP3s for company as well. It's one of the interesting things with multi-class racing, is even if you do manage to break away from the rest of the pack within your class, you've got the other car classes to worry about as well, and they certainly keep you busy running on board. With Scott, as he comes down the start-finish straight, and there goes one of the LMP3 cars. There'll probably be another one following fairly shortly, coming on the left-hand side. Yep, there it goes. So
that's just what it looks like when you've got the LMP3s, bearing down into. Oh, what's happened to Colonel McCoy? He's had a problem.
He has. He looks like he's got some damage on the front, and he's into the pits.
Yeah. I suddenly saw that Andrex had gone past him, and also Pushton's gone past. So there's another casualty. He was up in 4th as well before that happened.
Yeah.
So, oh dear. And Andrex has had a bad lap as well, so he's gotten caught up in that. Yeah, there's damage to the front of his Aston. So he'll be in soon, and Aaron's in. That's very early. His car looks okay though.
It's at the moment. It could be some rear damage though. It looks like there may be some damage on the left-hand side there. Can't quite see from this angle. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit more battered at the rear. So I think he's.
Unfortunately, the camera controls are in the way for me, so I can't see that.
Yeah, you can see some scuffs in and around the rear wheel arch, and the fact that he's still stood still there indicates to me that he's still got some damage. So Brake Check is working his way up through the field after starting in 10th place. He's now up into 7th. He's kind of in and around the area where we usually see him, where he has been up to the sharper end of the field in the past as well, but he's obviously benefiting from the mistakes that other people have been making. And that's one of the things here with Long Beach, is you can get a good result just by keeping the car out of the walls and keeping yourself out of trouble.
David Alex has brought his car in, so we think he was caught up in the issue with Milo and Atlas Guerin. So Aaron's only just got underway, so wow, there was obviously considerable damage on his car. It puts him actually position-wise right in amongst the GT4s. So yeah, that's going to be a bit awkward for him. Pushdom and Andrex are pretty close together. If we go on board with the red Aston, there is Andrex's car. So again, Andrex last lap, actually his last lap was pretty respectable as Andrex, 25.9 against Pushdom's 25.4. So if he has carried damage as Andrex, he's carrying it fairly well. The Kuza is back with Scott again. There's the BMW and the Aston there. The BMW was the fastest GT4 on the field last lap around.
And you know who else is back with someone else? Bo is back with
That
the ace at the front of the field. These guys back within half a second, and at one point they were within 0.2 of a second of each other. So lapping an LMP3 driver there, which is probably Aaron. You see him there in the background, and once again, Aid the Ace coming across. No, it wasn't Aaron, sorry.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, it was another LMP3 driver. But yeah, we've got some GT4 traffic once again.
Come on, cameraman, keep up with me. Oh, and that's caught Bo out again. And
yeah.
This is the thing. The GT4s are perfectly entitled to and indeed encouraged to follow their line. They must not be unpredictable, especially not here. It's not a track like this. You do not want to be second guessing the person you're trying to pass. But of course, that the natural side effect of that is exactly what Bo's just had. He had no choice unless he wanted to go around the outside, which you can do when it's very dangerous on the outside of turn 10, although it was there that we had the amazing 3-wide incident that I mentioned earlier in yesterday's GT3 race.
I thought it was in the second to last corner.
That was the second last one. Oh, that's the one I was referring to. That long left-hander before,
yes.
Which is a clenching moment at the best of times. But I mean, that was in the closing stage of the race. You know, we've got over an hour to go of this particular race. They don't want to be, you know, making unnecessary risks at this stage. That's Andrex. They're just coming past. Whoa, Bo! I know that it's it's a road cone that's out of position there. I mean, the slides are exaggerated to the spectator's camera. It still looks amazing when they're sliding, looking like they're putting opposite lock on. They're inches away from the wall.
Yeah, fully committing, trying to use all the downforce available on the LMP3 cars. What was I going to say about the traffic situation? Is D'Couza's having a look down the inside of Scott into turn 1. So D'Couza looking and feeling like he's got the pace over the Aston Martin in front of him. As Scott was very, very close there to the wall on the exit of the fountain. Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, Bo at the moment kind of losing out on the traffic an awful lot, but we've seen in the past, I think it was at the previous race actually, he made a very opportunistic moment using the traffic to his advantage to actually gain the lead of the race over, I believe, Aid the Ace in the previous race. So it's not like Bo is scared of the traffic. He's just playing the patient game at the moment until later on in the race, where he could maybe afford a little bit more risk when trying and make a position and actually make the move work. Obviously at the moment everything's going in Aid the Ace's favour, but it could quite easily swing back to Bo later on as well, and Aid the Ace get held up massively, and Bo close that gap right back up again.
I just saw an overtake happen down here in 16th overall, but realised it's Aaron making his way through the GT field, so never mind. There was, we have actually lost one of our LMP3s. That will be... Who would that be?
It's one of the Pirates there, Parrots there, Logan's there.
I don't know, is the honest answer. I'm never any good at going through the field and working out who we've lost.
It's possibly no Brzancik's there.
It'll come to us.
Have we lost an NMP3? Yeah, we have lost an NMP3.
Yeah, we're down to 10 NMP3s now.
Yeah,
oh, look at this lot. Bushton is Bushton is actually one of the GT4s. I beg your pardon. There's actually Aaron that's caught out there. He's trying to make his way through the field. This is technically for position as well. He is he's quite some way behind the next NMP3. Now he's gone past Bushton. That's Andrex, the next car along the line. And again, even more so, they don't have to get out of the way. Realistically, you can. You know, if you make it really obvious which direction you're going to go in to make the pass easy, then fine, go ahead. As Aaron makes his way past Andrex, but it's more risky to come off the line at a track like this because the wall is going to be unforgiving. The wall doesn't care who goes close.
Yep, that's
a
little bit of swapping around. I think someone might be trying to clear a slowdown penalty or something like that.
Could be. It is possible to do. It's unlikely to see. Oh, JP, what is going on? I wonder if JP's got a problem.
I think he's just probably trying to really clear that slowdown penalty. He seems to be back underway, back to racing speed now. So yeah, that's probably what it was. Just picking up Brzancik here. Ruddy Bird just there in front of them, less than half a second. This is a battle for fourth position in the LMP3 field as Brzancik is presenting himself in the mirrors of Ruddy Bird into turn 1. Wasn't really close enough to do anything about it. It's more just trying to play a bit of distraction games to see if he can sneak himself up into that fourth place. Smolder seems to be a bit further up the field. Another 4 seconds or so. So they're trying to work their way through the traffic of the GT4 cars. As
you know, in endurance racing, you sometimes find just a stretch of track that hasn't got anyone in it. We haven't had that at all.
Well,
since everyone's gone out of the way, it's just been busy constantly.
I don't know if you can see the track map, but like this, probably third of the circuit has about 70% of the field, in it. Yeah. So it's a very, very busy section of track. There's other parts around the track where it's a lot quieter. Ooh, that's Ruddy Bird giving one of the Aston Martins slight little love tap out of the way. Brzancik's having to work his way past 2 of the Aston Martins, almost side by side. Not quite. There wasn't quite enough of an overlap there. But, yeah, Brzancik has lost a bit of time. In
Mark of the Pirates caught up with him now. I think Brzancik got really caught out with the traffic there.
Yeah.
So now Mark of the Pirate. Oh, that's deep into turn 1. Yeah, he bounced off the wall. He's that's not. Oh, that's lag.
Yeah.
On my screen, he's lagging everywhere. His line looks really bizarre, but yeah, he's got a bit of lag going.
Yeah, staying exactly the same as well. So he is working his way through his field. Scott.
Scott's lost the GT4 lead.
He has. He's now just behind Dakuza. So it'll be interesting to see if Dakuza can actually pull away from Scott at all.
Oh, free track.
Yes, quite a bit of it as well. There is the Aston Martin in front.
Oh, Colonel McCoy, what's happened to you?
He had his incident earlier, didn't he? He pulled into the pits.
He did.
Yeah, so that'll be the damage to his car. Obviously, Andrex there in 5th position.
He has lost that position to push them. There is the red Aston ahead, but last lap 28-1 for Andrex. He's definitely sporting wounds on that car that he's just looking to carry. I'm probably not wanting to do an additional pit stop at this stage. Not really surprising. Exactly what you were saying earlier, Yorkie. Those that pitted earlier. Milo's a GT4. So we have lost a few other cars. We're down to 21 now. So Milo is actually one of our GT4s that we've lost.
Yeah.
Atlas Gary was the other one. No, he's okay. Dave Alex, he's gone. So that's our 2 GT4s that we have sadly lost. What's happened to Aaron? He's lost the position at Andrex, weirdly. I think he might have... 15 seconds down. He's made a mistake somewhere. The car looks okay, so that makes me think he's gone down the escape route at turn 1, which is very easy to do. You overcook it into turn 1. Okay, he's very slow again.
Yeah, he seems to be just taking it quite steady and cautious through the corners. He may have had another knock with the wall and there's just got a ton of suspension damage. He's trying to nurse the car back to the pit lane. You can see that Yakuza has managed to get about half a second or so ahead of Scott as they come through turn 1. Scott getting very, very close to the camera there at the barriers on the outside on the exit.
Oh, powers in again.
Oh, it could be more damage for him. Although I think if he refuels now to a full tank, he should be able to make it to the end from here, providing that he doesn't find any other barriers to make friends with.
I think you were right. Oh yes, that's not a happy looking Aaron.
That's a crabbing looking Aaron.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
Oh, that was quite a short stop for Empire. So yeah, I think you're right there. He's gone for this is the last stop I want to make. But that's cutting it really fine, I think, on the fuel. It rather depends on how long a litre lasts in these things.
Yeah, he's also obviously running the risk that he's not going to have any other incidents at any other point. Yeah, the Mark of the Pirate still lagging a little bit there in the in the background
I was
hitting the wall.
looking to see if he died in the wall there, but no, he's okay.
Yeah, well, we assume he's okay. He doesn't look okay to us. Oh, Zanchek there catching the wall on the inside, just turning in a little bit too early, a little bit too tight. Hopefully that didn't damage his car too much. But yeah, we could assume that Marco the Pirate's okay. It's just to us it doesn't look it with the lag. That he's
Brisanti just turning too hard into the wall, and it's really, because it's so slow, it feels really clumsy. You just clunk that inside wall. You've got to obviously open the steering up to then get around the corner properly. It just slows you right down, and Aaron's got himself a penalty. What's he managed to do? 20 seconds and he's spit in the pit lane as well.
Yeah.
Oh goodness me. So it's going horribly wrong for Aaron, which is a great shame. Scott and oh wow, that battle is very on.
It is, and well, for the moment there, I think Scott may have a slight run at Yakuza coming down this back straight. It is possible if you can get yourself enough of an overlap to make a move into this corner, but Scott not anywhere near enough to try and make a diving opportunity down the inside into that corner. So for the moment, he's going to sit right underneath the rear wing of the BMW in front and hope for a decent run coming off the corner. Doesn't look too bad. It seems like the Yakuza's got the slight acceleration advantage, but the Aston Martin tends to have a straight line speed advantage, although saying that, Yakuza is continuing to pull away from Scott. Yeah. Coming down that straight, looking lively, coming into turn 1. I know that. Yeah, I know that the BMW is quite a narrow car. It doesn't sit quite as low and as wide as the Aston Martin does, so it looks slightly more unstable in that sense. But I also know that the Yakuza, I believe, is using a H-pattern gearbox to negate the shift time of the BMW, and it's probably having to do a little bit of heel-toe work to try and make that work for him as he's braking and downshifting through the gears.
Yakuza was slightly out of kilter there. He couldn't resume the racing line. There was an LMP3 there as Neela has brought the KTM in. Looks okay.
Yeah, it could be a scheduled stop, I think.
He's only taking, well, maybe a smaller tank on the KTM. He's only got 90 on board. Mark of the Pirates, what's up with you? Nothing, you're just getting fairly close to...
Oh, Yakuza and Scott!
GT4s.
Yep, side by side coming out of the hairpin. This is going to be an interesting drag race, but if the last lap was anything to go by, the M4 has the legs over that Aston Martin on the straight, and yeah, he's rumped away. Which is quite surprising, actually. I thought the Aston Martin was quicker than the M4. Again, the Yakuza looking squirrely in the brake zone.
I wonder.
Could very well be, yeah.
But Scott is absolutely nailed. And also something else, I'm looking at the lap times, and Scott and Yakuza are quite a bit quicker than everybody else in the GT3 field. let's have a quick look at lap times. So ILMPs, who's got the lap record there? That's going to be Bo, but only just over ADAs. And our GT4s, Dakusa, again just by
10th. Oh. Well, a couple of hundreds.
Yeah. Amazing stuff as Andrex is in. So he's had enough of fighting with that car, but I think he will probably be doing what we've just seen Empower do. Get whatever damage fixed and top the tank off to the end of the race.
Yeah, and get himself out of the traffic as well. You may have to work through a little bit more later, but at the moment at least it kind of takes the pressure off of his shoulders to really hang on to the back of someone else's. There goes the Janetta, or it could be either Logan or
good,
it is
good
Logan.
Shout. It is indeed Logan. That was that would have been quite a scary moment. He was very close to the wall making that move.
Yeah, it was very close indeed. Oh, it did skirt the wall there actually on the exit of turn 1. But yeah, I think Scott was kind of half thinking that he was going to go to the his inside and was trying to give him room, but at the same time Logan committed to going to the left. You can see Scott very, very close to the back of the Dakusa. Certainly not letting up the pressure there.
I think the Aston's running a bit more downforce than the BMW.
Yes.
That BMW looks really, looks a big handful in the corners, much more than the Aston. Yet we've just seen the BMW just really stretch its legs in the straight. I think the BMW's just got the rear wing for show, whereas the Aston's actually got some downforce on that. That's a pure assumption. No, it could be completely wrong, but that is why I think we're seeing just Dakusa, smiling and laughing down the straight, yet get really crossed up in this. And here we go. Look, right underneath the rear wing for Scott. He's just got nothing. Oh, there is Empower. I'm mentioning him earlier. Here comes. That's going to be AD and Bo.
Yep, it is.
Our two class leaders, first and second, on the same stretch of track. And that's 2.5 seconds between the LMP leaders at the moment. ADA's not seeming to have too much trouble at the moment. That's 57.5 minutes still to go. Lots of things can still transpire. What's our lead LMPs running for fuel at the moment? Oh, 43. They're nowhere near a pit stop at the moment unless they choose the contra strategy. Andrex, after his stop, came out in 8th place in the GT4s. So we're assuming that he's fully fueled and fully repaired. Of course, the body will still appear like that. He's got a full tank on.
90 litres.
Well, he's been out for a little while, so I would imagine he's probably burned some off.
He has, but a lot of the other guys are, well, Nyla's quite close, unless he's just calculated the correct amount that he needs for the actual end of the race and just chucked on that 20 odd litres.
Empower's got 95 litres.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether he was actually running close, but I don't actually, in hindsight, I don't think he is. He's got that fine, and Andrex on a similar level, so yeah, I think, as you say, they've just crunched the numbers. Also, this could be just, whoa! So Dakusa, I'm not sure Dakusa meant to brake check Scott there, but it did look like he was Scott was put off his rhythm slightly there. But this could also be strategic. Dakusa could well just be running his lap. Scott may well just be sitting in the slipstream, saving a bit of fuel. This could be strategic more than pace-based, but again, there you see the BMW gets so twitchy under the brakes. They do have, well, Scott has ABS, does Dakusa? Yes, so the GT4s have ABS should they choose to run it, but that BMW just looks a right old handful trying to slow it down.
Yeah, I think it could be where the car just seems to sit higher up in the up above the tyres kind of thing, whereas the Aston Martin looks very much kind of sat a lot lower. But I think your assumption of Dakusa running a lower downforce setup is probably correct as well. But Dakusa seems to be making it work. He seems to be relatively happy with that setup. He's not really affecting his pace in any way. We haven't seen him get too sideways. Scott's having a look to the inside, coming into the corner. Dakusa giving him room. Side-by-side action between the two GT4 leaders. Scott, though, having to resort to tucking back in underneath, and I imagine Dakusa is probably going to hold Scott up a little bit through the apex. He doesn't really do that, to be fair. He just carries on his normal line and is probably going to have a slight smile on his face as he sees that Aston Martin in his rearview mirror not decrease in size as Scott suddenly turned up the wick and has got the slipstream. Coming down, looking to the inside in turn 1. This could be the swap in GT4 class lead, and it is Scott with a nice move, relatively simple, up the inside of the Kuza. That is a change of position. The Kuza didn't really seem to want to fight that too much, as that was one of the DJs in the background, running very deep in the exit of the fountain section, possibly clipping the wall. And Bo's very close to the back of Aid the Ace with the LMP3 leaders as well.
Oh, hey, that was interesting. Aid actually took the defensive line right in the middle of the track and nearly slammed into the back of the red Aston. But now this is going to get very, very busy for these two. That's what it looks like for Bo. The red Aston getting very out of the way. So you see, reshaped. That does look like a GT86. What a drive away from that. Bo's in. 36 litre on board, so car looks in good shape. I think he's done that on purpose. That's pushed him. That was the reshaped red Aston. So this is going to be. They can only take 70 litres.
He'll be able to do it. He'll be able to make it to the end of the race. They can run a full tank of fuel on the 60 lap. 60-minute races. So he should be fine from here.
He'll be fine. Yeah, and he's been in slipstream for a while. That won't matter now because he won't have it. Where's Smolder? There he is. Wow, that's a hefty gap. It's 38 seconds Smolder to Aid the Ace. So that just shows you how well they've how the LMPs have run off. Oh, who else is in? Oh, Kalito's in with a reshaped Aston as well. Well, there's a three-way battle here. Reddybird, Brazantic have been together for a while, but they've got Marco right with them now. Oh, that's
that was. Yeah, I thought the KTM was actually really, really close to the back of Reddybird, and it does seem like there was contact between that KTM and Reddybird's got spun round.
Yeah, Reddybird's in as a result.
So's the KTM as well. The KTM's crabbing it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. He's just been crushed against the wall. And 88 is in.
He's trying to counter Bo.
Yeah, he's where's Bo? He's behind Smolder, which is not a surprise. This needs to be the outlap of Bo's life, right? Because this is unequivocally for the lead.
He'll know that ADS is in the pit as well, providing he's got obviously the leaderboard up on his HUD up there in the top left, because it will indicate that he's in the pit lane. So he'll be now pushing it, like you say. ADS obviously trying to counter Bo's strategy, get himself back in front. Yeah, he's stuck between two of the Astons.
And Colonel McCoy. Oh, Colonel McCoy's done well. He was
back in front of Antrax.
Yeah, he's done quite well to recover there. So Smolder will take the race lead. 88 is underway. Where's Bo?
Just come out the final turn. This is going to be very, very close between the two. So ADS is still trundling down the pit lane at the moment. He's not really anywhere near. Bo's going to overtake him.
Bo's going to have him.
Yep, yeah, Bo's passed.
Comfortably. That's not ADS.
No, that's one of Janetta's. That's deep.
Oh.
That was deep by Bo. That was deep. That's a lot of smoke. Yep, Bo made a mistake coming into the entry of turn 1. That kind of held up the Janetta as well. Looks like he's managed to keep it out of the wall though, just about. But yeah, Bo now up into
12 seconds. Even with that mistake, 12.3 seconds separates ADS and beg your pardon, that's ADS and Smolder. Beg your pardon. That's 4 seconds between Bo and ADS. Oh my goodness, that was a stonking lap from Bo then, at a time that it really counted. But ADS, we know he's got the pace to close that gap down again. But Bo has been right with ADS for so long. Now this is really going to be interesting for our LMP front runners.
Take a look at Bo's fuel for me for a second.
76.
He's on 76. Aid is 76 as well. But I'm just trying to figure out how Bo would have made up that time, because I don't quite think it's pure lap pace. It must be in and around the pit stops of actually possibly ADS maybe having like a second or two worth of repair, and that just kind of held him up a little bit, or perhaps he was a little bit more cautious going into the pit lane, whereas Bo was looking like he was a bit more full attack. So yeah, quite a substantial difference.
We have lost another LMP. We're down to 9.
Would that be Aaron?
It'll be Aaron, yes.
Yeah.
He had been struggling for quite a while. Wow, Eddie Ace is not hanging around. He did not want to be stuck behind. Well, I believe that's at McGarren. Yes, it is. That was Aid was not prepared to sit behind.
Oh, Andrex and Colonel McCoy going side by side.
Side by side, yeah.
Aid the Ace dives down the inside of those. Andrex trying to go around the outside, though. He's going to have the inside for the next right-hander of turn 8. This could work in his favour. LMP3 lurking there in the background. Colonel McCoy very wide, almost into the tyres. Just about manages to keep it out of those. And that is a position to Andrex. Him getting himself back up into 5th position, demoting Colonel McCoy back down into 6th. Good racing by those two. Very
nice indeed. I get the feeling Colonel McCoy backed out of that. I think he was actually slightly shaken by the fact that 88 shot through.
Yeah.
a slightly unsuspecting position there. But yeah, I think he backed out of that. There's now it's 3.7 between Bo and 88 over the line. So Bo's extended that lead a little bit.
Not by much.
Came down to about 3 points. Not
so
by much.
Yeah, 3 times to the second.
Oh yeah, that was actually. I thought it was greater than that. They're gaining on Smolder a hell of a rate. That was 2 seconds they gained on Smolder up front, but Smolder is with all due respect, not in that particular battle. Flaming Parrot's been in there a long time, so big problem then for him.
His car looks good though.
It does. I wonder if he's had a connection issue because that car is shaking like mad.
No, they do sometimes do that in a bit, yeah.
Well, Scott is back in the lead of the GT4s. Again, we didn't see that that lead change hands.
We did.
We saw it change with the BMW ahead. Or did we?
No, yeah, we saw him swap back round in position. But obviously Scott has eked the gap out, although that's now just been undone with Bo going through.
Yes, beg your pardon. Yes, we did. There's 88. We saw Bo go through just now. And you can see the Aston. Wow! The Aston picked up a big old handful of slipstream there. Oh, that's Flaming Barrett coming out. And everybody is minding their own business. They come through turn 1. Fine. That's absolutely fine. Who else is in a fight? Brazanchik and Ruddy Bird still. Oh! Someone behind Brazanchik. It's not looking too happy. I wonder if. Is that JP?
Marco the Pirate, I think.
Oh, really?
I think it'll be his teammate, yeah.
Where is Marco? Oh, he's up in 4th. Oh, yes, it is. You're right.
I don't think he's stopped. I think the other drivers there in front of him may have done.
Ah, yes. Yes, good call. The Ace is on the back of Bo.
Certainly getting closer. The Ace has turned up the wick.
Oh, yeah, he's... and now the pit stops are done, he knows he's on the same strategy as Bo. He's getting on with it. Oh, an Empower, big old tank slapper there. And the Mustang. He's in 8th position, kind of minding his own business there.
Oh, that's a... Actually, no, there was only a 10th. I was looking at the difference between Smolder and Bo, and I was going to say for a second there that ADA's is taking a huge chunk out of Bo on the previous lap. But oh, that's the front of a Ginetta that was parked on the outside of turn 1. Not entirely sure whose that was, but oh, look at that. That's gap gone completely. This is what we were saying about the multi-class traffic. Obviously, it's gone against Bo once again, but with the Ace and Bo swapping positions, it's brought the two drivers back in to within half a second of each other.
Colonel McCoy and Andrex have come in at the same time. Oh, literally side by side.
Interesting.
As Andrex kills Colonel McCoy's pit crew. That's one way to slow his pitch stop down, I suppose.
Yeah, battle of the pit crews. Marco the Pirate's now into the pits. It seems like he's got quite a substantial amount of damage on our screens, but he's probably okay.
Yeah. But I wonder if he is, because I think he's actually been there a while. Dakuza's still with Scott. He's actually losing ground on the Aston, but Bo is behind the Ace already. Looked away at the wrong time again.
Oh, Bo's in the pits.
I was just thinking that. Bo's really slow. Very slow. So Bo's had a problem. Because his fuel's fine. His car looks okay, but he's got a problem of some description. So our 3rd place runner, our potential LMP leader is in again, and Mark of the Pirates got underway and given himself a 10-second penalty. So he's speeding the pit lane one. That's fairly academic with the gaps in between his car. Colonel McCoy's gotten away again, but Andrex has not. Oh, Andrex just is. So it's a long stop for Andrex again, unfortunately. But yeah, Bo, what's...
I think there was a little bit of damage to the front left. By the looks
he was
of it.
away so quickly, though.
Yeah, it might have been just like a steering alignment probably got knocked out of line with a little bit of suspension damage. There's just a quick pop in to sort that, because it doesn't look like he's taken any fuel.
No, indeed not.
Ooh, no. That was very, very close to cutting the pit exit line there on the exit of the pit lane. Yeah,
that would be a warning for him. Oh, Logan's in as well. The tail end of the LMPs. So Aid now has 6.5 seconds between himself and Smolder, but Smolder will have to come in. Smolder running, well, he's still got 25 litres on board near enough, so he'll be good for a while, but that's another second taken out of the gap between AD8 and Smolder. So I think it's fair to say that AD8 will be right with Smolder fairly soon.
Yep. That is certainly for sure. It's a bit of a shame that Bo has dived into the pit lane there. And obviously it's taking him out of the kind of out of contention for the race win, unless the Ace has an issue somewhere between now and the end. Akuza still lurking around a second behind. Scott and is still, every time that we look at him going into turn one, is wiggling the rear end around under braking.
That's a dancing BMW, and it's every lap or near enough. That BMW just misbehaves. It seems okay through the rest. It's just into turn one. It seems to be the biggest handful. It's a bit bizarre, but Daguza doing a great job hanging on to the back of Scott, and those two have been inseparable all race long, as we have less than, well, just coming up to 43 minutes to go. We're over halfway through, and still plenty of battling to resolve. Oh, we've lost another. Who we lost? One of our LMPs. Who have we? I thought it was Bo for a second, but no, he's still with us. Down to 8 LMPs now.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure who that was, but one funny thing that I did see in the background there was a blue Aston Martin coming out of the escape road of turn 8. It came in from the right rather than coming in from the left.
That's not the optimum line.
No, it looked a little bit interesting. Oh, wow, Andrex getting very close to the wall on the exit of the final turn there, as that is Bo going through.
That would have woken Bo up slightly.
Yeah.
But Bo, look at the gap. 35 seconds to AD8 now because of that pit stop.
That's a shame that he had to make it for whatever reason. That's Andrex going deep into turn 1. I think Andrex might have found the wall. He did find the wall. He's found the wall again.
He's wanting an additional challenge to go backwards now. That's the end of his day, I think. He's parked that one.
Could very well be, or potentially he's being very, very cautious as to trying to find space. Now would be a good time to do it, but no, that's parked it.
He's out. That's one of the few GT4s we've lost, but alas, Andrex cannot, or doesn't feel confident to take that car any further. What a shame. That's pretty rare for Andrex to retire, but that's, again, the nature of the beast, isn't it? So that's 6 cars gone now. And that's as many GT3s as we lost as well in the PCT1 race. So the battles we've got at the moment, Brazantic and Ruddy Bird are 6/10 apart. There enough. M-Power, who has been slowly and silently making his way back through the field, is now on Colonel McCoy's case. And it was like looking at the lap times last time around, M-Power was 1.1 seconds quicker than... Oh, well, never mind. He's just not hanging around anymore. Having a look on turn 1. No, can't quite get that one done, but was... Whoa, Colonel McCoy. That was lively. So I think it's fair to say that M-Power may well have the pace over Colonel McCoy. That move may well be done later in the lap. And, of course, Scott Nakuta for the GT4 lead. Actually not far behind them on track. So that's the closest to lead battle, of course, for the GT4 lead. Both have pitted and have been glued to one another. Oh, that's a bit wide for Scott. On they go then, as I'm not sure which one of the LMPs that is coming through. careful.
See
That's
the
going to
Flaming
put...
Parrot or Logan.
It is indeed Flaming Parrot, so that put Takuza off a little bit. It's just, again, unfortunate. Oh, it's, the BMW bounces off the wall. There goes Flaming Parrot past Scott. That was a little bit unlucky for Takuza, but again, it's ebb and flow. It goes both ways. And could well... Oh, that'll be Flaming Parrot then that's facing the wrong way.
Yep, speaking of going both ways, that's now that gap that...
oh, he's gone. He's decided to park it.
There's your teammate as well, Logan. He's also out of the race.
Ah, that'll be what the LMP we couldn't figure out who it was. Oh, that's Empire on Colonel McCoy. Big handful of slipstream. Going to try for the racing line through turn one. Is Colonel McCoy going to let him go side by side? Nicely driven by both of them. Colonel McCoy's going to be close to the wall. Yeah, it was really up to Colonel McCoy to let that go. Empire had nosed ahead at that particular point. And sixth position rather, is the Mustang, but he's got 23 seconds to claim to push them and less than 40 minutes to do it.
Sorry, that was doable. That was doable for Empower, I think. Pushed him running relatively decent pace at the moment, kind of similar to these guys, Empower and Callum McCoy on the previous lap. And Brake Track currently up in fourth place in the GT4s. There he is, driving just behind the Colonel McCoy and Empower battle actually. So he's not far off putting a lap on them, but he's also not far off from being put a lap down as Takuza and Scott are there in the background giving chase. Takuza still lurking in and around half a second to the leader in GT4 there in front of him.
Atlas going into the pits again. It's a great shame for him. He's really has struggled in that green Aston. Colonel McCoy doing what he can to hang on to the back of Empower, but that's already a second for the Mustang, and another car has gone. That'll be Atlas Garen. So another of our GT4s has left us. Unfortunately, Takuza then is closing back in on Scott. Only 16 cars remain. That is 10. We have lost, well, 10 from the lobby, 8 from the race, as two people didn't make qualifying, unfortunately. And this is the only battle now that we have. Everyone else is fairly spread out. Although, in fairness, 88 is now only 3 seconds behind, and well, now less than that. Is now 2.3 seconds behind Smolder.
Yeah, that coming down relatively rapidly, 1.1 seconds on the previous lap. So 88 on a charge. That gap to Bo behind is still lurking in and around the same sort of region of 38 to 40 odd seconds from the last time that we looked. Smolder has worked his way through past the GT4 leaders. It'll be 88's turn coming down the start-finish straight. And there you can see just how much the traffic can cost someone as 88 is there 1.5 seconds behind Smolder now. And 88 caught these guys at just the right time. Brake Check's now actually going to lose a lap to the GT4 leaders as well. So we watch them two shoot off past. And again, Takuza, they're on the dance floor, busting out some moves into the braking zone of turn one. Brake Check going a little bit deep. Check your brakes. Make sure you get them nailed at the right braking point. But
88 is now right with Smolder. There they are, the white NP of Smolder, who's led the race for quite a while. He'll be on fuel now. 13 litres left in that tank. 57 on board for 88. And he's been reading him in. It was 3 seconds near enough last time around. Of course, traffic aided for 88 at least. He looks set to take over the overall race lead. Here's arch rival Bo, 38 seconds near enough. Oh my goodness, surely not. 88 doesn't need to make that kind of move. And indeed, back down to that. There goes Smolder around Empower. I would imagine it's going to be down here into turn one that 88 is going to take over the race lead. Smolder may let him go. Smolder will know that he's got to come into the pits. He may well Hope clock that AD Ace has already been through. There goes Aid. Is he going to take the inside of turn 1? Oh, no. Oh, no. Impact between... Oh, who's that going to be? Oh, J Peaches is 7th and last in our... Oh, Dakuta and Scott have changed position into turn 1. Oh,
That's
the GT4 lead. Oh, this is going to be close. Still side by side. Oh, my goodness me. I did not think that was possible. It was Dakuta that backed out of it. Now, that I was a bit surprised by, unless he got a slowdown penalty for that. A slowdown warning. I thought Dakuta was going to hang on to that, but I never seen a successful 2x2 coming through that section, brilliantly driven by our GT4 leaders.
The only other thing that I can think of was there may have been a slight little bump and run between the two. Smolder's going defensive to aid the Ace. No, he's not going defensive. He's letting aid the Ace go.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, playing the smart move there. I was thinking that move the last time we saw the two come through this complex of corners, aid the Ace trying to go around the outside, it would be a little bit ambitious and not really needed at this stage of the race. If it was the last 5 minutes and they're both obviously on the same strategy, then yeah, sure, go for it and try and make the move, but obviously ADA's backed out of that one, and yeah, Smolder doing the right thing to not cost his race too much, because he's probably in and around with contention with Bo at the moment. Actually, Smolder is... No, he hasn't got into the pit lane. Of course, they're going to thought Smolder had. Dakuta is now closing up onto the back of Scott as he gets a little bit sideways, coming through down the start-finish straight, around the outside in the braking zone. It's turn 1. No, that's the wall! He just went that little bit too deep, dancing around a little bit too much, and has found the wall and hit it pretty hard on the outside there of turn 1. That's going to be quite substantial damage to the front of his car. No doubt we are going to see Dakuta pitting at the end of this lap. Thankfully he's got a gap of 55 seconds to Marauder behind, but yeah, definitely a shame, because that's just robbed him of a potential win, and that could even be a potential podium under threat now as well.
So that's denied us an incredible GT4 lead battle. I mean, he's lost 4 seconds or so on this lap alone. Oh dear, Smolder is in. He's decided to bring his car in now with only 9 litres still on board. Let us see where Bo is. There he is, coming through. Well, he's on that back straight between 8 and 9. So how long is Smolder going to be stationary for? So he's got to take on, what, 50 odd litres? Yeah, 50-ish litres he needs to take on board. Oh wow, so it's such a long pit lane.
Yeah, it is.
Feels like it goes on forever. So Smolder's going to find his crew. Well, killing someone else's crew whilst he's at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dakuta's in. That's not a surprise. So how long is Smolder stationary for? Oh, never mind.
Just
Bo's through.
Yeah.
Bo was through miles through. So
Bo's been absolutely... sorry, you carry on.
I was going to say, that was nowhere near as close as I thought it would be. But
yeah, I was going to say Bo has been absolutely cranking in the laps in the last few of the 13.9 on the previous lap. 3/10 quicker than the Ace, the leader, and he did a pretty decent 14, 1 minute 14 on the previous lap as well. So he's going... Is that brake check with some damage? That's a little bit close there. It is brake check, yeah. It was looking good for a while. He was one of those cars without any damage driving around, and now he's got some damage to the front of his Aston Martin. Dakuta is now out of the pit lane.
Working lights, if nothing else.
Yeah, quite a bit of damage still there on the front. That is not Marauder, that is behind him.
That'll be pushed down. Yeah. So Dakuta lost nearly a full minute.
Yeah, Marauder is... Where is Marauder? There he is.
KTM.
There, 7 seconds is the difference between the two.
Indeed. It looks like the GT4s are running kind of similar fuel amounts, so it looks like everybody has kind of come to the same conclusion. So either everyone's got it right, or everyone's going to be fuel saving towards the end. I think they're pretty safe, I'd have thought. 41 litres for 30 minutes. I'd have thought so. Depends how hard they push. J Peaches is in and has been in for a little bit. There they go. Quite some way behind Brzezinski, unfortunately. What's the penalty that Pyro... Oh, yes, Pyro got a 10 seconds. 10 seconds stop go? No, wrong sport. Bit late. And ADA's 14 dead. That'll please the OCD people out there.
Yeah, very, very nice that time. And Bo's lost a little bit as well, 1.2 seconds on the previous lap to ADA's. Yeah, finding a lot of traffic in and around that area of the circuit. One thing I was going to say is Jay Peaches only came out with 39 litres of fuel coming out the pits. It's obviously now down to 37. I am not entirely sure he'll be able to go to the end with that, depending on how much they actually use on a per lap basis. But the Ace has got a good 9 to 10 litres over, more than that actually, 10 to 11 litres over what Jay Peaches has.
Well, we will see. I've made this fuel prediction wrong before, so we will we'll see with that. So ADA's leads by just under 40 seconds from Bo after an incredible battle they've had for most of the race. Sadly, Bo having that issue that's brought him into the pits again, dropped him a long way up. That's another of our GT4s gone, down to 15 cars now. Who have we just lost? Oh, it's Empower.
Oh no,
we lost our Mustang.
He was working his way back up through the field as well.
Well, there's so few of them left, I can probably work out who's gone if we lose any more.
Yeah.
So, Empower gone. He was starting to get back up with Colonel McCoy, but alas, the Mustang is now parked. Oh, game crashed. I just spotted him in chat. Oh, yeah. that is tragic. Third in the LMP is Smolder. He is 33 seconds behind Bo and a minute and a half ahead of a full lap, plus a bit more ahead of Michael Barrett. There he is in fourth position. He has a full lap just under for between himself and Ruddybird, who has nearly a full lap again on Brzancic, who probably does have. And then Jay Peaches, who's had a pretty tumultuous race as well, but still going, is the last of our 7 LMP runners. Leading the way in the GT4s is Scott in the Aston, who, after fending off Dakusa for so long, the BMW 50 seconds behind, GT4 lead now. And third is Marauder in the KTM. He trails by 11.5 seconds from Dakusa. Then it is Braychek in his Aston, about 25 seconds or so behind Marauder. Then it is Pushtum in the red Aston. That keeps making me think it's the Rocket Bunny. Another 16 seconds down the road is Conor McCoy. He is right behind Scott. And it is Nina in the probably the only undamaged looking car in the field. And then Kalito brings up the tail of the field.
It does. That is a very...
That's a battered car.
Yeah, it's very, very short on the back there. And
oh, there's another dent.
A little bit narrower now as well. So the Ace coming through to complete lap number 49 to clock over onto lap 50. 26.
And still getting sub 14s as well.
Yeah, 20. Oh, that's the car going the other way. For a second there, I thought he absolutely flew past the car, coming out the pit lane very, very closely. But the
that
tracks,
caught me out as well.
Yeah, the tracks do run very, very close. Well, actually, they're just separated by a barrier between those two sections. So that would be in the other cars going the other way. Yeah, the Ace just seemed to... Well, I was going to say, he seems to just run his pace and take it easy and fairly chill, but he's the fastest guy out on the circuit at the moment.
Oh, yeah, you had to back out of that. That's Scott we are looking at. I think it's Scott.
It is, yeah.
Scott's got
Andrex is out, so Scott is the only remaining teammate running the yellow and green Aston Martin.
Yeah, you just saw where he thought about doing an outside move, but again, it would have been a highly unnecessary risk for both of them to try an outside move around turn 8. The Ace then, he's got time in hand, nearly 40 seconds now between himself and Bo. Across the line, lost him a little bit of time at 15.5, which is still a decent lap time. This is not quite where he's been. What's our fastest lap still? So it still sits with Bo actually at 3:13, 1:13.3. 3:13 is more the sort of time I would do. And our GT4s, I assume still sits with Skull. Still actually sits with Dakuza still with that 23.0. But mind you, Dakuza probably had his damage repaired. He was only 3/10 off of that last time around. So we'll see. Anything can still happen.
Indeed. Drivers still plodding around, doing what they can to stay out of those walls at the moment. Obviously with the field thing thinning out down to only 15 cars, there's a little bit less action to report on.
Yeah, no immediate battles going on as as each position is separated by quite some distance.
Yeah. It's more just gap battling going on at the moment between drivers than I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a couple of cents quicker than 88. Oops!
That's
oh no, that's gone hard.
that was Joe Peaches. Yeah.
Oh no! Oh, and that's someone in the background that's clunked into the same wall. Was it Neela? It was. It was the black KTM of Neela that bounced off the same wall, but Neela managed to hang on to his rear wing, unlike Jay Peaches, who was had the elbows dug into him a little bit by Bo there.
Yeah.
Only a few words said about that one post-race. And ADA is back into the low 40.
Yep, so he's still plodding around, doing what he can to hold and extend that gap to Bo just in case he has any slight issues later on in the race. 23.5 minutes remaining at the moment.
Ready Bird's got company there. That will be Jay Peaches just coming into the pits, yeah.
Yeah, obviously wanting to get the new rear wing. Ready Bird goes through. Gap of just over 12 seconds to Marco the Pirate in front, and then Brzanczyk is under 2 seconds behind, so it's probably the closest battle.
He is. He's not far behind at all. Actually, looking at the map, my timings will be going bonkers all race long. But yeah, he's actually fairly close.
Yeah, when the guys go into the pit exit lane, the timings tend to go weird because the game kind of picks up that they're in the pits, as it were. So they go a little bit funny there. But Ready Bird has actually had a really poor run coming out of turn 5. I think he may have actually clipped the tyre stack on the outside there, and it's allowed Brzanczyk to actually close up within a second.
It's another Ligier versus Ginetta battle. Now that you've pointed out the difference in the lights.
Yeah.
Which you did last time, and I completely forgot. Admittedly.
But that's understandable though, because you're not a full-time commentator in this league.
I'd love to be in this league, but unfortunately Tuesdays and Thursdays are days I can't commit to. And plus, with other plans I have, I don't want to overload my schedule. That's a complete lie. I'd love to overload my schedule, but realistically speaking, I can't overload my schedule for family reasons. I do have 2 young children.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the world takes a dim view if I try and sell them.
I was going to say there's that, but also your missus probably doesn't like you overloading your schedule either.
No.
I wouldn't have thought, no. Yeah, so it's very nice to have you here in the commentary box every now and then when you can make it, but yeah, of course, obviously with other commitments as well, it's not always expected.
Oh, Bo's had that's a stationary bow. That's I think we've lost Bo.
I think we've lost Bo. Yeah, I agree with you there.
That's
turn
down
4.
At turn 4.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, he's kind of moving.
There's life there yet. What on
There
earth
is.
was happening there? He's going. How the hell did he manage that? I would imagine he's had a technical fault of some description, just had to park it.
Yeah, perhaps his wheel kind of something maybe happened with his wheel and he had to unplug it and re-plug it, and
he's gone.
More issues. That'll
he's
be
gone.
him out of the race, which is a real shame.
Bo. Yeah, he's having terrible trouble there. Smolder's gone through, and Marco's not going to be full. Well, Marco's actually just coming up to him. You'll see him on the left. There he is. Oh, what a tragedy for Bo.
He's facing the right direction again.
Well, he is, but he's not going anywhere.
No.
He's shaking with rage that badly that the car is just shaking with him. There goes Ready Bird. And Brzancic as well. So they are actually very close.
He's moving. Oh, there goes Ready Bird. Oh no, he got collected by one of the GT4s.
Oh no!
I think he got hit by was that brake check that was up in front of him?
Oh, there goes Bo again. That's
yeah,
Bo
he's running into
he's
more issues.
Well, definitely now as he's left a piece of his car there.
I
would not be at all surprised if he decides to call that one today, because that is just does not what about. Oh, that's Takuza that's just driven around him.
Yeah, Marauder now as well, also going through.
He's gone.
Yeah,
we have lost Bo. I'm not really surprised.
That's a shame. I think he was trying to hanging on there to see if he can keep going towards the end to at least try and pick up some points, but obviously things definitely not working out for him.
Yeah, there comes a point like, no, these cannot. Fair play for trying to carry on, but unfortunately the luck was not with him. So Smolder then takes over the second place spot, and that is Marauder's KTM now. Mark of the Pirate up to third. He carries on his merry way. Brzancic's got ahead of Ruddy Bird, but then we did see Ruddy have that spin. So Brzancic now at fourth. Ruddy Bird now fifth. He hasn't pitted. So there's ADAs. So that's another lap that ADAs has put on Ruddy Bird. So he's 2 laps ahead of Ruddy Bird and Brzancic. He's going to be putting a second lap on third place. That has been the pace difference that ADAs has had. That is absolutely astounding. No one, and Bo was the only person on the same lap as ADAs. With Bo's departure, that's. I mean, ADAs could probably get out and push his car for the rest of the day.
Yeah, although ADAs so far, touch wood, has had a relatively issue-free race, whereas I think some of the other drivers have had some bumps and scrapes somewhere along the line, and obviously that's had an impact on the pace that they've had as well. Scott still pondering around in the front of the GT4 field, as Jay Peaches in the LMP3 behind him, 16 seconds down the road. There he is. So that will be a battle for position. 17 minutes remaining. It's not really worth fighting.
It might not do it, no, indeed. But then we did see Jay Peaches lose his wing, which prompted another longer stop. And I thought that was a stopped Aston, but it's not. It's just people coming around the Aston. So that is 10 cars we've lost from this race. I did think it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be this much attrition, but there's been quite a few. Oh my goodness, Scott! Is that Marauder?
Yes,
that's Marauder's KTM. That's so the second lap down, I think, between himself and more than that. Oh no, it's 2 minutes between Marauder and not quite. I'm looking at the wrong car. Between himself and Scott again, because again there's Jay Peaches in the way. That's what's throwing the numbers around slightly for me.
Yeah, definitely. Scott was actually putting quite a bit of faith in Marauder there as well, actually coming back across him in front of turn 1. Is that was not Marauder going into the wall, was it? I think it was very close to.
Or yeah,
certainly lost a lot of time.
Marauder you spotted at least.
Yeah, it was there in the foreground of the shot, just as it was panning away.
Was that Takuza's best lap? No, not quite, but it was only a 10th off.
22.9.
So Takuza is still pressing. Wow, still pressing on like a madman.
Yeah, obviously got all that damage repaired, and is now just seeing what he can do with the free space that he has available to him. It's Jay Peaches' next car up the road. It won't affect his obviously position in class, but Jay Peaches isn't exactly flying in the Ligier. He hasn't really closed up too much on Scott in front of him. Although the oh, there we go. Scott just using the pit exit to his advantage in the approach to turn 1.
Yeah, Scott actually. Scott gained, or so I should say, Peaches lost about 8/10, I think, on Scott.
Yeah.
That's a Ligier chasing an Aston. So that just shows you how it's undone for Peaches, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him.
Less than 15 minutes to go for this particular race. Then it has been a very high rate of attrition, but as Bo showed, an issue can strike at any time, no matter where you are. So, yeah, just highlighting why Dakusa is pressing on so hard. He slides through turn 1. You just don't know. For all we know, Scott may have a problem, or anyone in front of him may have a problem. So, it's worth just not giving up, just pressing on. And Dakusa again with the consistently quick laps he's putting in. Essentially, well, he does have something to lose. I mean, if he throws it into the wall, he's got several cars behind. Well, yeah, exactly. He's got a good place to lose, but
yeah,
very much a case of never give up.
Yeah, he's 33 seconds, so he's got a bit of time in hand. But even still, if he makes a pit stop, you'll see that 33 seconds just disappear.
Yeah. What do we like on all of this? 28, 29, 35, 34, 21, 42. Oh, wow, that's heavy. 26, 24, 27. Someone was running close to the wire, weren't they? 34, 20. Well, that's a little closer.
Yeah.
40, 41. Unless we've lost the car that I'm thinking of that was running very. Who was it that we thought wouldn't make it?
I think it might have been Jay Peaches, but obviously he lost his rear wing and then ended up making another stop, so he's chucked a bit more fuel on. Even still, Scott is the one with the least amount of fuel at the moment, but with 13 minutes remaining, I think he should be fine and should see that to the finish. I highly doubt that he's got that fuel calculation wrong. And
I should think so. Well, let's see. 20.6 now as he's crossed the line. Let's follow him through the lap and see how much he's got by the end of it. It's now under 13 minutes to go. That's not Jay Peaches behind him.
No. Although one thing I will also do is ask the guys in chat, in particular Andrex, his teammate, what the fuel consumption per lap is. As we'll probably get that in the next 20 odd seconds or so, and be able to work it out from there.
There goes the peak.
Yep, sliding past on the right hand side, and again hearing the cars on the other side is confusing me a little bit. It's like, there's more cars coming, don't move over right, don't go right, there's more cars. But no, it's the cars going in the opposite direction. Yeah, running aboard with Scott.
That's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah. Well held though. There seems to be 9/10 of a second down on his fastest lap.
2 litres per lap. Says Andrex, and we're looking at 124-ish a lap for the. He'll be fine.
Yeah. He should be
Won't
good.
Be a lot, but he won't be needing a fuel saver or any some such.
No.
There we go. That was a 24-2 from Scott that time around. He can just. He's not got anything to worry about as Dakusa, 35 seconds behind Jay Peaches, who is, what is he, 6 seconds behind Scott.
Yeah, Jay Peaches picked up the pace a little bit and has closed the gap down. Though in a couple of places it looks like he's quite slow, unless he's just being cautious.
It will be. I mean, he's seen the pit lane quite a few times this race, so I wouldn't blame him at all. And still, 6, you know, I think it was top 8. I think you were saying for the LMPs that can score points. So whoever finds the checkered flag is going to be guaranteed points in both categories.
Yeah, he'll get 3 points.
That was close.
Yeah, 3 points if he makes it to the end. That was very close to the inside. Let's ride on board with Aid the Ace for a lap. See what things are like. for him. As he runs on the approach to turn 1.
He'll have the stereo on. Maybe listening to classical music just to calm him down a little bit.
I think he's probably just more listening to the beautiful sound of the V8 in the back.
Wouldn't blame him at all.
Yeah, all the pops and bangs as well on the upshifts and downshifts and the overrun. Some great things about these LMP3 cars. Yep, passing him quite comfortably on the exit. No real risks there being taken. Coming through to turn 6 into a non-existent turn 7.
Yeah, I still don't know where that's supposed to be.
Yeah. It seems to be a lot of the American circuits have a slightly odd numbering corner system. There's
Road America's got some very weird ones.
Yeah, I think that what we would traditionally call turn 2 is like turn 4 or something like that. Yeah.
See, AD8 is completely blind on that apex.
Yeah. Unless he's either running triple screens or he's running in VR or something like that, which I don't think he does. Yeah, that A pillar is very, very big on the Ligier, and it does create a massive, great big blind spot, which is why he has been relatively cautious a couple of times in traffic, whereas the Ginetta, you have a much better view out the front, but obviously the higher wheel arches on the Ginetta do impede you a little bit, but at least you don't have a massive great big A pillar completely blocking you. Smaller gets quite close to the inside wall. J Peaches backing out of the throttle there to let him go past as Smolder continues on his way in second position. Quite a substantial distance behind ADA, so I think he's actually a lap down.
He is.
Yeah.
Indeed, it may even be 2 laps down. Oh no, it is just a single lap down. Again, the timing's getting upset by the pit lane exit.
Yeah.
But yeah, but he is indeed a lap down. Where's Aid? He is coming through turn 11. Small. So that's about a lap and a half, give or take.
Turn 5.
There he goes again. What has he put on the board this time? 114.3. Again, I'm not convinced he's pushing that hard. He just wants to bring the car home. Again, makes absolute sense. No one is anywhere near anybody at the moment. Ready Bird, where are you? Come on, man, keep up. Oh, who's that? Oh, it's Ready Bird coming in. He's had an... Oh, no, he's hit something. That's a crabbing... That's a crabbing LMP. Yeah. Well, the next car down the lane is technically Scott, who's 4.5 minutes behind him. So he's fairly comfortable in that respect. But yeah, he's clonked something pretty hard. But that's going to be what our drivers just kind of need to bear in mind. As the end of the race draws nigh, it's very easy, you know, as fatigue kicks in, it's just the want to finish the race as Scott blinks his lights at Neela to get out of the way. Is absolutely correct. Oh, get out of the way, KTM. Yeah, again, it's the longer into the race, the closer to the checkered flag, you're just like, come on, I want to finish. And it's so easy to take your eye off the ball. So we may yet see, even though less than 7 minutes to go, we may see some more pit stops come in.
Yeah, sure. If they just don't make that lapse in judgment and let the concentration levels drop too much. Certainly for Scott at the moment, he's done very well to keep that Aston very, very clean throughout the race. Just a bit of rubber build up in and around the paintwork and stuff on the front and around the sides of the car. Whereas Dakusa, his car's looking very much second hand, although that isn't representative of the damage that he actually has, as he has been into the pits to repair that damage that we see at the front of his car. And he is cracking on at the moment, still lapping pretty good lap times, 23.8 on the previous lap, so he's faster than Scott, but he's not really anywhere near close enough to threaten the leader in class. Marauder there, 50 odd seconds behind Dakusa. It's one of the cars pulling over to the left hand side of the circuit. I think that's just to get out of the way of ADS.
I thought that was a bit strange. I thought that was someone getting out of the way of Marauder. But it It was someone jumping out of the way. Oh, that would be... Who's got the broken windscreen?
Marco de Po. Is it Marco de Po?
Yes.
It is, yeah.
Yep. Oh, that gets a bit condensed.
Yeah. In around the fountain. The ace. Thinking initially thinking that he wanted to make the move, but then decided to back out of it, and in doing so kind of forced. I think that pushed him. I think in the in that red Aston Martin to give him racing room for turn 5.
Indeed. Less than 5 minutes now. Be about 4 laps at best. We'll see then who can just hold on to the end, who can keep their cars away from the ever-ready walls to bring their cars home. I think AD Ace might be the only car out there without any damage on, or without any visual damage. Oh, Peaches is just close to Scott. I thought we had a battle forming, but no, that's... Oh, Peaches, that was close.
That was very, very close.
I think Peaches is just being very careful. Again, the lines that J. Peaches is taking is not optimal at all. He's just being very cautious of the lines he takes. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't actually take the position from Scott. It won't make a difference either of their championships.
No.
He may just choose to just stay there.
Yeah. It's,
Who haven't we looked at for a while? We haven't looked at Colonel McCoy. Let's look at you. Oh, as you've had an issue at turn 1, I cursed you before you even looked at it. Oh, Colonel McCoy's had a problem down there at turn 1.
He's got a 40-second gap to Nyla behind, so I think if he did incur any damage in that excursion, so he hops across the curbs on the inside there, I think he should be alright to just carry on with whatever damage he did suffer with that, if he did suffer any damage at all.
Oh, look at Kilito. No headlights left. No bonnet. Oh no! What did I say about no more pits? Oh, that's strange. That's a lagging mark of the pirate. He's in the pits apparently. Not on my screen, you're not.
No, he's very much rubbing against that.
Oh, there he is. Yes,
there he is. Oh,
and
he did actually stop on those marks.
A fair amount of lag going on for Mark of the Pirate, but looks like he's had a problem. That's giving Brzancic third.
It has.
The very thing I said about who was going to bring their car home in the dying moments. Mark of the Pirate's had a problem. Where's Ruddy Bird? Ruddy Bird is nowhere near the pit lane. But on a personal best. Oh, Mark of the Pirate's away. So I get the feeling that was not as bad as we might have thought. Maybe he was running. Maybe he wasn't happy with the fuel amount. Maybe he did have some damage on there that didn't take too long to repair. He's away again. We would now come home in 4th position, unless anyone in front of it. Okay, a bit more lag there.
More lag there, yeah.
That is going to be so. As the Ace crosses the line, this is going to be the penultimate lap. Lap 70 has begun. 2 more to go for the green Ligier. So Scott and J. Peaches did indeed swap position down the start-finish straight. So that's all Scott's going to hang on for till the checkered flag falls.
Yeah, continuing to plod on round at the moment. I don't think Scott really wanted to get too involved with J. Peaches in front, and will just take it easy. He's got the space behind him to just take it cautious, as J. Peaches is taking it relatively cautious through the corners, so it shouldn't impact Scott too much. We're into that final minute now. So where is AD Ace? There's Smolder going across the start-finish line. AD Ace just coming through the last couple of turns, so this is the penultimate lap for our race leader and
he could
all the
actually
other drivers.
sit there and wait for the checkered flag to come out. He could actually park and wait. He won't, but he could.
He could, yeah. He's obviously got plenty of fuel there as well. 11 litres remaining. So this is the last lap of the race, round 4.
That's right on board with him, why not?
Yeah, it's got the slow Aston Martin there up in front of us. Ooh. That was very, very close. No,
and jumps
Aston
out
gets
the way.
Yeah, I think he actually found the wall in doing so as well.
Mm.
But, yeah, a slight little bit of confusion there between the two drivers, but no harm, no foul. There's no contact between the two. ADAs continues on his way. He's coming up to Colonel McCoy now, in front of him. We'll pass him relatively easily before turn 8. Dropping down to 2 gears. Coming down the back straight, the final time underneath the bridge. Popping and banging as he goes. Comes into the fast right-hander. And into the long left. And then for the final time, braking and navigating around that pretty tricky final and very tight hairpin. Accelerating now. Shifting up through the gears to cross the line and take the win in LMP3 in round 4. Scott not too far behind on track. Obviously he's a number of laps down, but Scott is our leader of GT4. He comes out of the final corner for the last time. Brake check with a flashing of a single light. Scott flashing both lights in celebration as him and his teammate Andrax do wrap up the team championship and take the title there for the GT4 class. Smolder in second place in LMP3. He's now just coming in through the final sector, through the penultimate corner and then through the hairpin one last time, avoiding the wall. And coming across, Marauder in front of him, pushed him as well. And then, yeah, Smolder second place in LMP3. Dakuza will take second in the GT4 class. He'll be coming across the line with a flash of the lights as well. Quite unfortunate for him to get that damage that we saw earlier, the contact with the wall on the outside of turn 1, which scampered his race. So here are your classification of round 4. Aid the Ace taking the win in LMP3, Smolder second, Brzanczyk in third, Marco the Pirate fourth, Redybird 5th, and 6th was the final LMP finisher of J Peaches. Scott there in first in GT4, Dakuza second, Marauder third, Brake Check in fourth with Pushton 5th, Colonel McCoy finishing in 6th, Nyla in 7th, and then Carlito in 8th place, the last driver to finish the race, with both Andrex and also Logan there being marked as retired. So that is going to conclude our coverage of round 4 of the Apex Online Racing IMSA Lights Endurance Series. King Kodiak, thank you very much for joining us here in the commentary box and helping me with the commentary as always.
A great pleasure, and I did think this would be a very testing race for our drivers, and it certainly proved to be. But do join us for the next one, as the series is heading towards, I've forgotten,
Road America. Yes,
it is indeed Road America. That's a very bumpy circuit, so that's going to be testing. But I have no doubt that our drivers will put on an amazing show there.
Yep, and our weather forecast is also predicting that it's going to be a wet race as well, so that's going to make it an interesting challenge for the drivers on top of the interesting multi-class challenges that they shall be facing. So that will be taking place next week. Same again, 8 PM UK time, GMT, on a Thursday evening. I shall be here for the coverage of that. Thank you very much for all those tuning in the live stream chat and supporting us and joining us with the action. If you're not subscribed to the AOR channel, make sure to hit that red button to make sure that you won't miss out on any future Apex Online Racing League action in the coming weeks, months and years. So thank you very much from both of us here in the commentary box. Hopefully we'll catch you again next week. But in the meantime, have fun, stay safe, and take care.